for some even more clarification when it comes to Oxnard here, because that's where you spent the bulk of your raising. Did it get any more specific in that area for you, like a particular portion of Oxnard, perhaps?
No, I went to Oxnard High School, so that's kind of, if you're from there, you know what I'm talking about. But from the outside, it's pretty much a tight-knit community, and if you're from one part, then you know every other part, and everyone interacts with each other at one point or another. So it's pretty much, if you're from Oxnard, you're from Oxnard.
Now, we'll formally ask you this next question, but you may have answered already
Let's hear it.
when you describe strawberry fields and things of that nature. But in case you want to dive deeper, what was that really like growing up in Oxnard for you?
It was fun. I feel like it definitely formed my personality. I'm a nerd, you know. I grew up, my mom's a teacher, but she tells me to not credit her for this, but I love reading. I've always been into that. I'm into Harry Potter and all of that stuff. So I've always been kind of a nerd in that sense, but for me, it has taught me to be a genuine person. I feel like moving around and being in LA now, you meet a lot of people that are trying to socially climb a ladder, and that's not how I was raised to be. So it is a mix of people where I am now, but Oxnard kind of is my roots and something that I can always come back to and remember to be authentically who I am as a person.
And why Harry Potter for you of all
It's
characters?
fun. They fly on brooms and shit. I don't know if they see dragons. They go hunting for stuff. They kill I have the Hogwarts Legacy, so I spend half of my time playing that, and you get to kill spiders and bad wizards, and that's just me. That's a good vibe for me. It's
Now, you use the phrase nerd here. Is that a self description? Were you actually called this growing up in school? Were you teased about that back in those days?
No, I was never teased, thankfully. I feel like was I had a great time growing up. I think that there's a difference between I think to me nerd is a good term. That means that you're kind of about your shit and you understand this from that and you're into learning about things rather than just taking facts off of the internet. You go and you research that stuff. So to me, a nerd is someone that's going to follow up and fact check before they start to speak, which is important and especially in today's world.
And were you always like that, or was that something you developed into over time?
I've always been like this.
And when it comes to your immediate family, are
Mm.
there any other nerds besides you?
What do you mean by family?
Your immediate family,
My
your
immediate
your
family.
family members, yes. Are you the
Yeah.
nerdiest one of the bunch, so to
I
speak,
mean, my
or is
mom's
there
a
someone
teacher.
nerdier than you in it?
My mom's a teacher, her mom's a teacher, so the teaching gene runs in the family. So I think that all that knowledge spilled to me genetically.
Now, speaking of that job description, was that because you come from a family of teachers on that side of your family? Was that something that your family was looking forward for you to do, perhaps?
No, my mom is happy that I'm doing what I'm doing. She is happy as long as we're happy. I have an older sister, a younger brother. So as long as we're doing our thing and we're happy, then she is. She never expected us to follow in her footsteps. But as long as we are on the right track and doing what genuinely pleases us, then we're doing good.
And speaking of those siblings, same mother and father for all of you.
Yeah.
Now, what was the top point for you during your upbringing in Oxnard? What was your highest point or most positive moment growing up in that area?
I loved it all. There's a lot of positive moments. I remember when I was really young, like before middle school, I'd go around to neighbors. Me and my sister, she's only a year older than me, so we did a lot of stuff together. We played a lot of sports together, but we'd go around and we'd ring on doorbells. That was before there's like ring cameras and all this stuff. And we'd like kind of Christmas carol, but at any time of year, and we'd make our own songs, me, her, and our other friend Angelique. And we'd just sing songs, and then at the end we'd be like, okay, can I get some money? And they'd be like, what the hell? But they give us, a dollar here or there. We could go get some ice cream with it. We was having fun with it. But and then in my older years, I loved to go to the beach. It was like 3-ish miles from my house. So my sister and I, because we buddy system, we would walk together and just go to bonfires and different things. A lot of cool people lived on the beach, so we had fun out there too.
Now, speaking of singing, and before we dive deeper into that, just back in those days when you were asking for money or getting money for that, what was the most any of those neighbors gave you or strangers gave you back then?
Honestly, I was like 5 or 4 even, so probably like 50 cents. That was like 2004 or 2005, so 50 cents went a long way. I could get a lollipop, Bugs Bunny ice cream, and probably like one other thing if anyone else wanted something on top of that.
Now, was that when music started for you? And if not, what age did it and how did it?
I think I was singing in my mommy's tummy. I think I was probably when I was kicking along to the beat of whatever she was listening to. So music is it's in my blood. It's always been a part of me, and I think that I'm really grateful that I've been able to pursue it in the way that I have lately because I can really take those roots and that things I have felt my whole life and actually put them into something that I love.
But when it comes to music, though, there are some that just listen to it and enjoy it. But then there's others like yourself that get into the creative aspects of it, recording the music, releasing the music, and so on and so forth. So, how do you go from just listening, like others, to actually being behind the scenes and cultivating it?
It's a choice that you make, and once you do it, you just dive into it. It's not so hard to choose to dive into it. It's easy to make music. It is hard to be timeless. And what I'm trying to be is be timeless.
And asking music here specifically, because you mentioned sports, and sometimes for people, sports takes over things
Yeah.
like the arts and music and things of that nature, and they go in that direction. So, what led more to the music direction for you instead of sports and maybe other activities you got into back then?
Sports were so fun. I did track. I was county champion. I did water polo, soccer, volleyball, like all the works. But I ended up ultimately with music because when I was in college, even choosing a major and all of that, didn't I loved I was in environmental studies, so to me that's true to me. I love nature. I love going on hikes and going camping and going to the beach and things like that. But for me, I didn't feel like I could find a career that really sat right with me that I could do for the next, what, 50 years? So I wanted to choose something that felt genuine to me, and that was a challenge to me. And music is challenging. It's hard to find something that not only you like, because I used to rap, so I liked when I did that, but it turned out that it wasn't right for me. So, you have to choose what is right for you. It's a challenge to get stuff that you love and that you can share with others in a way that they're gonna understand.
Now, let's dive even deeper on that note
Mm.
there. No pun intended here. But was it rapping for you at the very start? Was it singing for you at the very start? How did one take over the other? And then how did you switch back if that was the case?
It was rapping. I thought I was a little gangster, and I just was not. I just wasn't. And someone finally told me, probably just a few luckily, it was, like, early into my singing or music career. They told me, like, "Maybe try singing because you have a voice and it sounds like it's in there somewhere. So let's try to switch it up because the rapping is not it." And I'm so grateful that they did because in this industry, you get a lot of yes men, people that, I mean, you're paying for sessions and stuff, so they're just like, "Yeah, record, do it. Yep, sounds great. Keep going. Do this, do that. Come back, pay more." So to finally get someone to say, "Stop, slow down, try to sing." That was kind of that pivot for me. And once they said that, it was almost like a light clicked on because it made it a lot easier to kind of slow down and be authentically myself rather than be what I thought other people wanted me to be.
Now, stopping you right here for a moment, you mentioned that there are yes people in the music industry and things of that nature, but also there are stubborn recording artists that just because there are the opposite of yes men telling them or suggesting them doesn't mean they always listen and take those in. So, what got you to listen and do that?
It's hard. I definitely started out not being good with criticism. And I think what helped me was actually listening to the advice. Like maybe I'll listen to them for a week or a month and then realizing that it actually did help me progress and get me to where I am now made it a lot easier to be open to feedback.
Now, do you want to share this person's name or shout them out that actually got you to pivot in this direction?
There's a lot of people. I think the first person that ever told me was, his name's Daryl, and he helped me figure out like, yo, let's move away from this and towards the singing, R&B, pop music, and that is the direction I'm still headed in. So I think that that definitely helped me get to where I'm going.
Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, in regards to your upbringing, zooming back out, what was the bottom point for you during your upbringing in Oxnard? What was your lowest point or most negative moment growing up in that area for you, if you have one?
I feel like it's the same as a lot of people's is realizing that there are people out there that didn't have to work for shit and that were able to kind of get everything handed to them and their whole life and their kids' whole life, they don't have to do anything for anything, and realizing that you're not born equal and you kind of have to work harder to get to those points. But once you do, you can create a platform for your kids to kind of be in that position to do whatever makes them happy without having to feel like an outsider. That was a realization that I didn't know that I would have to go through, and I'm sure 90% of the world does.
And how were you able to survive that upbringing in Oxnard ultimately? Because there are some who don't make it.
I think I was able to survive that realization of not everybody is born equal by just not really giving a fuck and realizing that it's not that serious. Like, yes, it happens, but it's happening to everyone. So either fall victim to it or figure out a way through it. I'm around a lot of people now that are from New York, and they're like, the hustle never stops. Either you figure it out, or you know, or you drown. So you got to figure it out because no one's trying to die out here.
And speaking of death,
Mm.
there are some people who say things like, don't know if I'll make it to see the age of 17, 18, 21, for example. Did you have any of these thoughts yourself growing up in Oxnard?
Not in Oxnard. Thankfully, I had a great mom, a great family, and I was in that sense sheltered where I didn't have to face those type of struggles where I had to worry about making it to a certain age.
Now, be that as it may, knowing what you know now, hypothetically speaking, what would you have said to your younger self back then, if anything?
Play more Pokemon Go. Relax. You're a kid. Just do what you got to do, and you can get through anything because it all comes full circle, anyways.
Anything else you want to mention about this upbringing, growing up, or raising, or question you weren't asked? People want to know just about that subject matter there.
I feel like you covered a good amount of it. I feel like we're on like we got a lot. If they got questions, they could leave them in the comments, and we'll answer them there.